You see this radiance, this beauty, this that we speak of from seeing from self, where we see innocence. We see this essence shining through. How about that? What's it like to enjoy that in the space that we're co-creating together? Like, can your system even feel it as you notice this beauty in each of us, this radiance, this shining, this light, this love? Can it be felt? Because you're not alone. You're with us now. Can your system feel it? Can your parts feel it? And what if it's not just limited to when you're with the eight of us, that this beauty is here, that this love is here? Let's just take a little journey together into beauty and radiance. Let's all go to a place in nature where each of us find this. Where do we find beauty in nature? Let's go there. Is it a sunset? Is it being by the water? Infinite ocean. The silence of a forest, an open field, or spotting a deer. What's that? What is that for you? See if we can go there. Place in nature where you just see beauty. And what's it like here experiencing beauty? Is there anything missing here? Or is that just the silliest question? What's it like to be experiencing this beauty? And there's a place of rest there. Something just relax and rest. And are there voices that come up? Are there still voices and parts that say, oh, maybe this isn't the best experience of nature. Maybe it could be better. I don't know if I like this game. You notice voices that occur. And then there's this experiencing of nature, of beauty. What's the relation between the beauty that's being experienced and the thoughts? And when you're experiencing this beauty, there's almost a sense of disappearing into the beauty, almost like there just is beauty here, that there's not kind of a subject that's observing the object of nature. It's just beauty. Can that be glimpsed, experienced? And then what's the relationship with the thoughts that are here now? As the thoughts get louder, is the experience of beauty relatively dim? Let's try another one. Let's all enter a museum. And this museum only has one display wall. And on that display wall is your favorite image of art, of beauty. So it might be an actual painting. The wall can read your thoughts and it will just project whatever. It might be an impressionist painting, it might be a nature scene, it might be a photo that you've seen or a photo that you've taken. It might be a photo of someone dear to you. What is beauty? What is What is art that evokes beauty for you? And what is your favorite image in this moment? What happens when you are here in the museum with me, with all of us, and you are experiencing that image? Does it touch your heart? Is there a sense of connectedness? Is there a sense of awe? What happens when you're with this image that represents art and beauty to you? You notice thoughts that arise, parts that arise. I might not be doing this right. This is silly. But maybe I should have a better image. What happens to the experience of beauty in being with that art, that image, when the thoughts arise? And is there a sense of shifting back to forth just to the image, just to the art, and being back in a place of awe? And then the attention shifts to the parts and the volume of the parts turn up. Oh, that's not really the best piece of art. Or I don't feel awe. I'm not doing this right. Notice what changes in your body. And then then if we came together on the screen with the seven of us who are with you, if we open our eyes here and the art, the nature, the beauty becomes the seven of us who are with you. Can we see the beauty here in us? Is this any different in nature than the museum? And notice the parts that come up that might get in the way of seeing that beauty, that radiance. And then lastly, and you don't need to follow me in this one, feel free to zoom in on your image, just your image. Or you can imagine your image, you. Can you see the radiance, the beauty, the innocence, the perfection? Can you touch that? This is when we see from self, from beingness, it only sees this. And then perhaps notice that which obscures it. Oh, I shouldn't have these wrinkles in my neck. I shouldn't have to why do I have to wear glasses? I hate my eyes. Just the thoughts that come up. And then can it shift more to the place of beingness where it just sees the radiance. And lastly, just somatically, as we've explored the contrast between seeing from self and seeing from parts, what was the difference somatically in your system? As you would see the beauty, the radiance, the perfection, you might even disappear into it. And then we hear the parts. Could you tell through your body the shift, the movement? And just as we're coming back together, as we slowly start to come back together to hear what this was like for you. And as always, we're only interested in what it was like for you, what was that like? And it's so welcome that none of that worked for me. I have a part that was blocking it all. I couldn't follow you to the museum or to nature or to looking at the images. And that is just as welcomed as if Raymond says, I just disappeared into beauty. I am beauty. There is no separation. It's all the same for us in this celebration of you. As we come back together, I'm going to do my quick housekeeping that I'm a mediator. I'm not a psychotherapist. For me, we're colleagues and friends exploring together. If everybody's good, being responsible for their journeys, if I get a thumbs up from you, please. And secondly, as always, I've got the recording on, only my image, only my squares ever shared. However, the audio that you shared could be shared. At any point, you're welcome to have us pause this or or delete something at the end. If you're good with that, if I could get a thumbs up from you, please. All right. So what was that for you? What did you find? I have no idea. Like there was some enthusiasm in diving into beauty today and diving in experientially. And I just kind of threw that out. And I don't know if it was like, wow, that was awesome, or it got said, that one completely missed. How was it for you? What did you find? What parts are here? Who would like to share?
Well, I might as well be the icebreaker. Um, Being in the southern place where I am, hence the darkness. Um, I noticed that the images that came up for me are just where I live here. Actually, it's just this extraordinary sense of beauty here in the area. And and the second image that keeps on coming up is of a friend who's just around the corner here, who has a young 10 or 11-month-old baby. And when I look at that little cat, I have this sense of beauty and this reciprocal sense of connectedness. Like, yeah, this little kid just lights up. I smile at him and he smiles at me, and there's this wonderful kind of hello, blah, blah, whatever, even without words, just this sort of non-verbal connectedness and sweetness and presence, real presence of this little kid, very intense presence. Yeah, and the sweetness that's in there. It's just so wonderful.
And Wolf, what's
Yeah.
that like for you when you're seeing that, when you're experiencing, just for all of us, if we can follow this experience of wolves to our version of it, when we have this connectedness with the child and we see the innocence, there's the connectedness and there's just this enjoyment of the expressions, the innocence, the
Yeah.
openness. What's that like? What happens for you?
Yeah, it really amps up aliveness. It's just so wonderful and sweet and this very direct aliveness without any masks or any filters, just, oh, wow, just intense presence. Very, very intense and immediate.
Let me ask everybody about that. Intense presence, intense immediate presence when we are seeing this way. Can your
Yeah.
system relate to that? The difference, like perhaps there's an indicator of seeing from self, there's an experience of intense presence. Would that be an indicator for you? Or is it a different indicator? Anything else, Wolf?
Well, that's just it. This just keeps on amping up, and then kid looks away, and I look away to match, and then we look at each other again, and there's this curiosity and sweetness,
I,
and yeah, and also this responsiveness, like this moment to moment, this kind of responsiveness. It's just so wonderful. Yeah.
thank you about that. What's going on for each of us as we hear Wolf? Are we going to our own experience of this? Are we connecting with Wolf? Are we enjoying? Is there an intimacy, or do we have parts that are coming up and kind of do we have a narrative part that's like, oh my, I haven't done that in a while, or I should do that, or have more of an experience like Wolf? What's happening inside? And before we keep going, some of these, it's like a guy I listened to, Rupert Spira. He'll talk about windows to oneness, and he'll speak of this. He'll speak of beauty as a primary window to oneness. And here we're almost playing with it as getting to know when we're coming from self, when we're coming from essence, coming from beingness. What's bubbling? Who wants to go next? Anything coming up with what Full said? Raymond.
Yeah, so I really followed what Wolf said there. And I'm in the opposite direction. I'm way up north, Wolf over here in Scotland. And yeah, when Wolf was talking, of course, I could experience, and this is the wonder of this, isn't it? Because I could say something right now and I'm thousands of miles away and you can still feel it. That to me is incredible. And it's exactly what Wolf said and where you led us, Sid, which is the direct experience of presence. And I think, particularly, of course, there's no accidents. So that story that Wolf just told me, so that's what blocks it in me, Sid. When the thinking adult becomes the filter of seeing, then I lose the sense of being like a little child. So no judgment, just looking, just taking in, just curious, smiling all the time like a child. So I experience myself like a child when
Mhm.
I am directly, as Wolf said, in the amped up aliveness. When my aliveness is the focus of my attention, there is no fear there. None. Nothing, not a thought of fear, not a feeling of fear. Just pure seeing and an unconditional loving okayness.
Let's see how where we go. What's this like for us as we hear Raymond speak of his experience? What's it like? Is this your experience? And please notice that there's a spiritual achiever. Gosh, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting that amped up aliveness that Raymond's speaking of. I'm not getting this unconditional loving okayness. Notice that there's a critic or a spiritual achiever that says it should be more like Wolf and Raymond's experience. And just please notice that. It's just a part that's saying something should be different because what we're doing is we're celebrating how this is showing up for you. And having said that, what was it like following Raymond? That for him, this was a direct experience of presence when we see this beauty, direct experience of presence. Does that translate, or do you have a different way of saying it? And then he speaks of it's like there's the experience of myself as a child, experience of myself seeing as a child, that, and then the thinking adult becomes a filter to my seeing. Can you find that almost with our parts, with our burdened parts that are comparing and contrasting and something should? If we hear any of that, the should, the comparing, the sense of lack. Notice if you can hear that in your system, those are just parts that, and Raymond's calling the thinking adult. And then he says, then I lose being like the child and seeing that beauty. And he also described it as there was no fear there. In the direct experience of presence, there's no fear there. Could you touch that? Mark is going, yes, I know that. And when do you touch that? The place of no fear there. And then he said, lastly, it was just pure seeing, pure seeing. It's like pure seeing, the direct from self, from this being, this pure seeing, unfiltered. And it was an experience of unconditional loving okayness. That was a lot. Thank you. How'd that do, Raymond? Anything else? And thank you. That was gorgeous. Thumbs up. How are we doing, everybody? How are we doing? Just notice, just how are you? Let me just ask everybody that question before we go on, because this is a lot, especially if there's any sense of shame that comes up. Like I'm not doing it right. I'm not getting I'm not having the same experience as Wolf and Raymond. Well, we're just as fascinated with your experience. That's this game. We're just as equally interested in seeing this unfiltered seeing as the filters. We're fascinated by the filters. We're fascinated by all of it. Raymond's nodding, and he's like, "Yes, exactly." But is there anything bubbling before we go to hear another experience? Anything bubbling that would like to be shared? Any responses to what they shared, or any reactions, or anything that's like, no, I want to speak about this. Anything bubbling? Mm. And how are you? How are you? Just notice what's in the foreground, what parts are here. It's like, oh, I have something I want to say. It's like, oh, I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I don't know if I like this so much. What we're doing today, it feels a little abstract, conceptual. And then what's it all arising in? What's it arising in? What's the flavor of self that's here for you right now? Is there connectedness? Is there a curiosity that just arises? Like, how's it playing for Eli? How's it playing for Goalie? What's their experience of nature, of beauty? Is there just curiosity? Is there connectedness as we feel each other? What's the flavors of self that are here? Or is there just relaxation or emptiness and stillness? Or is there joy? What's it like? Who wants to go next? Daria!
Hi, I'll go. For me, it was really a curious and interesting experience because what I noticed, I love to kind of close my eyes to feel things anyway, and when you were guiding us, I saw the visuals, the pictures, but really what stood out for me was a place in nature. It's like I felt the breeze on my face. So like any speed movement, like going down the mountain on a mountain bike or but it's not the speed and it's the wind, the breeze, the wind. And then when you said go to the museum, I had parts that were really bummed and disappointed because the museum is indoors, and I was some of my parts were like, well, fuck this, that's not gonna work. However, then I did see, like, I just allowed it to happen. And again, I had the part that was scanning, oh, what is my favorite? What? And I have a picture of the beach right in front of me on the wall because I love the beach. However, I just went with it. And then I saw this, like, huge photo of giant red sequoia trees. And even with those sequoia trees, I kind of felt the roots and the grounding and deepness of it and kind of breath and oxygen. And my favorite one was the velvety, just touching. I don't know why my body just went there today, just touching the bark and even seeing it. And it's almost like soft, velvety, you know, experience for me. So, all of a sudden, it wasn't a problem being in a museum anymore for my whole being.
Mm, gosh. Let me check with everybody on this one. Did you follow her? Did you follow to the wind in my face, the breeze in my face? It was like Daria's experience. It wasn't looking at beauty. It was being immersed in this now, in this present moment, the breeze on her face, the experience. Where does that take you? Do you find as you follow Daria that there was a sense of this crisp nowness in this experience, the breeze on my face? And what do we find in the now? We're truly in this. What did Raymond say? It's like this direct experience of presence. Do you experience that as you follow Daria, this direct experience of presence, the breeze on my face? And can you even touch what Raymond was saying? It's like the absence of fear. There's no fear here. The breeze on my face. We're deeply in this moment of that. And then we're in the museum. We're inside of the museum with Daria. She's looking at the redwoods and she goes to where she went. It wasn't looking. It was like, wow, I felt the roots of the redwood. I was breathing the oxygen. There was a touching the soft, velvety bark as we follow her there in this experience. Is it the same thing? Can you find this nowness, this momentness, this crisp presence? It's another window in. It's a little different than beauty. It's being so in the aliveness. It's this immersion in the aliveness. And can you find what Raymond said? What was it? This unconditional loving okayness, like in this. It was just there's just okayness here in this present moment. Eckhart says if you're in the now, there can be no problem. It's impossible. What was that like following Daria or your experience of this? What else, Daria?
It, I don't know exactly what you said just recently now, but I like my whole being wanted to say it is beauty for me. It was beauty for me. Beauty through touch, through skin, through. So it's like a beauty for me doesn't have to be through eyes, through visual. Even though I love that beauty as well. I'm always, wow, look at this, but like it like the tactile trumps it for me.
I thank you for correcting me. So, what about that? Daria's experience of beauty through the senses, to the tactile, that it is beauty. This is nothing. It's not, you don't have to go to the now, the window of the now. This is still the window of beauty for me in the velvety softness of the bark, the breeze on my face, about that as beauty. And again, as we touch beauty, as we use this word beauty, where does it take you? We're playing with portals of self. How do we live in as from self in the world? We're playing with, look at Daria with her hands, touching or even touching the energy, touching this moment, this beauty. Anything else, Daria? Hmm. How are we doing? How's it going for everybody? Let's just notice because it's all about you. It could be like, oh, I don't know if I like this group so much today. Just notice the parts, the voices that come up. And is it okay? Are they all welcomed? Can you find a celebration of you here with how it's arising as we celebrate you? Celebrate your experience in the sense of this, the beingness that meets it. We often lose my friend Eli, and we only get him for an hour. And I'm curious if you'd like to share, Eli. I'm curious what it's like in your system, what this is like so far. And there's no, this is an honest curiosity that we have. And so don't just whatever's there, we're curious about.
So when we first started, there was blending with the part, and then as we went, as people shared, and we're kind of like pointing to spaciousness, there was a sense there of that, of no problem, spaciousness, openness, and then I guess there's a manager part that kind of comes in to mediate between those two, or like to that modulates attention and is like, well, we can go to spaciousness, but then what about that thing that's asking for proper attention, or wanting to be, or needing something that's maybe urgent. um and so it kind of is like the anti-spiritual bypasser part. That's like, no, no, there's a thing. There's a thing here. You can go to spaciousness, it's here, but you can't just keep doing that.
Let me ask everybody a question about this one, Eli, first. We can all find this, right? When we're playing with beauty or the tactile sense of beauty, as Daria took us. And then can you find that a part popped up for you when we were on our journey, or when Daria speaking or Raymond speaking? There's a but that comes up, a part that comes up, a manager. Like, yeah, beauty's great. Like, oneness is great. All that's really nice. Or Eli, spaciousness is great. But hey, we've got our job. Hey, we've got to think about what we're eating later today. Hey, we've got these issues we need to work out. And what about that? What's our relation to the manager, to these parts in the midst of this? What's our relation to them? And how loud, relatively loud are they? Is it an either or, the beauty, and then the part comes up and says, hey, but we've got these real life things. And then it shifts completely to the part. Maybe it's a to-do list. It shifts entirely. Or is it like we're resting as a spaciousness and you hear them and you're just aware of them, but they're off in the distance? They don't really obscure it so much. Or do they obscure half of the beauty and there's just like a both? Like, what's the relation to the parts as they speak? And then lastly, can your system kind of play with that a little bit? Almost like there's a volume knob for the parts. And there can be like they're way away or they're close. How does that you you use the word modulate, Eli? Like, what's it like with the what's the relation to that? What's the relation to the manager? How does that play without a sense of a right or wrong in this? This is just the play, the curiosity of the theater of our inner world. What's that like inside of you, Eli?
As you're speaking, it kept oscillating between like um a sense of maybe the original part that is taking like that is blending is like you can't effortless your way out of this. You can't, you can't do that. That's not gonna work here. Um and then as you're speaking, I'm like, but can I be like doing the effortless IFS with this? And I was kind of dipping in and out of that. And I guess it leaves me with a sense of open-ended question of like, what is the right approach here?
Great.
I think I've kind of moved from at times more self, at times more parts, and then it's like self to parts, but at times just part needs attention.
Let me ask everybody this as we hear Eli's question. What's the best approach? What's the best approach? Can we adore that voice? Like, what's it when you hear this in Eli? Are you just Is it like a piece of art? Is it like that child that Wolf was speaking to? Is it like the sunset? Can you see the absolute beauty and perfection in what we're hearing in Eli, the theater of Eli's system, the parts that are doing their very best to take care of his system and take care of him? Like, what's the best approach? See if you could find that. Or if you have parts that are coming up, like a therapist part, a achiever part, it's like, but that manager's getting in the way. We need to help heal that manager. Notice that there's a part that's coming up like that in our systems towards Eli's system. And then again, back to the part that says, what's the best approach? Can we find our version of that part that's trying to, yeah, hey, this beauty thing is great, but then there's real life. How do we manage all this? How do we make sense of all this? What's the best approach? And with that part inside of us, can we see there are no bad parts? Can we see how it's serving us? Can we see the innocence of it? Can we see that it's a superhero in our system? This is a big deal if we can really celebrate these parts and truly welcome and be in awe of them, just like Wolf was in awe of the child, or we're in awe, or Daria was in awe all of the tree and the bark. Can we have that same experience of our parts, of Eli parts, of ours? So what's it like, Eli? And I'll take you off the spotlight here, but what's it like when you have that manager that's trying to make sense of all of this, like what's the best approach? What's that like inside?
There's a sense of more urgency, more control rather than like openness and spaciousness. It is its job is not to trust necessarily and just surrender. So it's kind of the opposite of that.
What about that? What about there's more urgency, more control here? So as we hear that in Eli, is it a problem? That there are parts that what the flavor, the weather in Eli right now might be the parts, this manager, more urgency, more control. Can we see that as another expression of beauty? Can we see the wholeness in that, the essence in that, the no problem in that in Eli? See if you can find this. This can be difficult. And then in your own system, when the urgency, the need to, what need to control comes up, can that be another? Could that be the breeze in our face? Could that be Daria's breeze? Could that be touching the soft, velvety bark? That be seeing the radiance in the child? The need to control the urgency. What's our relation to that in Eli and in our own systems? Is there any problem here, or is this all art? Is it all beauty? Is it all the expression of this aliveness, this human beingness? Any final thoughts, Eli? And I'm not sure we were practically helpful for your system. Anything else? Yeah, this is kind of, I don't know where we're going today. It's a little different. How are you doing? How are you doing with with what we're doing?
Still, yeah, open-ended, exploring.
Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to share, or other concerns? Anything else you'd like to throw out?
It feels more like firefighting than just a manager. And it's like we can't just let go right now because otherwise there'd be something that's too much.
Great, great. How does that translate for all of us? Firefighting is a word in IFS for parts that are trying to find relief from contraction difficult, like a firefighter comes, it's a fire, we've got to put out the fire, we've got to get relief, we've got to come back to peace. So there's more like the sense of urgency that's there. As we hear Eli say that, is it a problem, or is it just another flavor of the breeze? Firefighting, if there's an urgency, even there's an agitation with the firefighter, there might be like, what's, and then in our own systems, when there's a sense of even an agitation, a desperation, sometimes it feels like a desperation in my system for relief. What's that like? Is it a problem? Is it a problem that is there? That's my question for all of us. Is it a problem that it's there, that there's an urgency? Thank you, Eli. I'm wanting to open this up and see how this is playing for everybody, because that was a lot. Anything, I'd love to hear from a couple people, just with Eli sharing how that's bubbling in you, maybe just even a few words. I don't want Eli to feel by himself in that, and I've been speaking a whole lot today. Anything, what's here? Yeah, Raymond.
Yeah, so first of all, nothing Eli says is strange to me. That just, if I can say it like this, that just feels normal to me. But when Eli was speaking, and I could say that I know what managers and firefighters and exiles, I know that language too. But I'm reflecting as Eli's speaking, and I'm saying, okay, so what is the voice in me that when I have a part that's maybe a frightened wee boy, someone that doesn't feel loved or cared for, which I do experience that. So, what is the voice that would come in at that point and say, "Oh, Raymond, you are a lovely boy. I know you're a love. Oh, come here, son." And something other than the voice that says, "I'm not a lovely boy," embraces that one that doesn't have, you could say, enough love around the part. My point in this, Sid, is there are many voices. And even when Eli was talking about bypassing, I think sometimes we throw the baby out with the bathwater with that bypassing, because ultimately, home is stillness and silence. So no voice and no movement. So in reality, for me, the ultimate reality of just being presence, and let's say no parts arising, nothing's coming out of the ocean as a wave, it's just still and silent. So what I'm trying to say there is a passing by of other voices that I'm not bypassing, because I think, from what I hear from lots of non-dual and EIFS type groups, that this word bypassing feels to me, when people kind of share it, like it's a wrong thing.
Yes.
So in my experience, if I'm looking at a part of me that's, let's say, very angry, and another part of me wants to push that away because I won't be loved if I'm angry, right? I can now consciously, from that loving voice, what I'll call the divine self, another voice that does speak, but it speaks with a different sound. It
Yes.
doesn't sound the same as my mind. And my point again, Sid, is transcending the mind.
Mhm.
People are calling that bypassing, where actually it's the ultimate stillness and silence.
Mm. Okay. All right. Let's just. Oh, Daria's really got something. I want to say something first, and then we'll go to Daria. Like, what was that? What was that like? Go traveling with Raymond. What was that like? Was there some of you like, oh, that ultimate stillness and silence, that love that's always here, that is a different voice. Oh, yummy. I like that. And then I'm guessing some of us had parts that came up. It's like, you're missing it, Raymond. You're missing it. There are parts that need to be heard. They need to be met. They need to be fully met, loved, integrated, digested, and celebrated before we can go to that. It's just the stillness and silence that's here before we can rest more in that love. And I love that Eli's pointing us there to the sense of the celebrating the parts that need this attention, that demand this attention. It's like, we're not going there until we take care of what's really here. Like, and so many of us have done that and are doing that with wounded parts, with parts that haven't been fully met and loved and accepted yet. And then from a more of a non-dualish place, there's this what Raymond's speaking of, the silence and stillness and love that's here. So there's both. What's it like to hear all of that? And what does it evoke in your system? And it looks like it touched something in Daria, and I can't wait to hear what it is.
Yeah, sorry. I was just noticing my system. And when I was listening to Eli and Raymond, I I have a neurodivergent brain, which I'm learning about, and I just had this sense that parts have their own wisdom and intelligence uh, in their urgency, and how there's beauty in that. And then, Raymond, when you were talking about silence and stillness, sometimes that's okay for me, but in general, and it's not parts, it's like just my body, my wiring is wired for movement and for other things. And that's not my parts. That's just how my whole being experiences. And it was really interesting for me. Like coming home is more of a, you know, going everywhere and movement versus stillness. When I imagine stillness, I'm like, oh shit, that would be boring. Sorry, I'm using many these words, but it's so beautiful. It's beautiful to see the Raymond stillness and silence as home. And then it's also beautiful to recognize my uh, need for more dynamic movement and like, zipping around, that can also be self, that's my experience of my self energy. So thank you. That's I wanted to share, like just the different. Thank you.
So just to
Raymond has
say back
something. Oh,
to that, yeah, so I think that's beautiful, Daria. And just like nature and flowers and trees and animals were all sorts of different shapes and sizes. But I can tell you something. So number one is I swear like a trooper, Daria, right? You don't want to hear me swear, right? A Glasgow man swearing is another experience altogether. So also, I am an extremely animated character. I'm nuts. I'm like an entertainer. Okay, so all that all that we ever see in the moment when I'm speaking, exactly as we're describing it, this is only a little part of me, but it is a foundational part. And what I'm saying is ultimately, if I have a difficult part, if I experience the energy of a part as difficult, for me, I have always found that love is the answer for my difficult parts. So that's all I'm referring to here with science stills. Then after I feel loved and great, party time. Yeah, we go out and do whatever we want, but we love first. Like the famous
beautiful.
philosopher said, love and then do what you want.
So party time. How about that party time? And then but I want to go back to Eli with all this since he opened this door. But just as we can hear in Raymond's system, love is the answer for his parts, right? And that's in Raymond's system. Love, and then his parts feel loved, and then it's party time. In Daria's system, that love might not even translate that word love and what Raymond's saying. It might be, no, it's the breeze, it's the movement, it's the dynamic movement that allows this feeling of home. And what about the contrasting sense of what home looks like? And what's your idea? What does home look like in your system? Is it more like Raymond's? Is it more like Daria's? Or is it what is it more like? Or is it just no party time? That's it. That was the word to describe home for me. What's home for your system? And lastly, before we go back to Eli, Daria's line that the parts have their wisdom and intelligence in their urgency, like the celebration of the parts' wisdom for coming home, how they find their way home and their own knowing, which I think Eli was opening the door for. Eli, how you doing with all this? What are you finding?
I think on the point that Raymond was talking about, there's a lot of interesting things said, but I think the point around like the bypassing and the mind is um my experience of parts or these urgencies are in sensations, are in the body. So it's less of so it's more like direct experience of let's say overwhelm or something big in the body that can't like where the stillness is not necessarily it's not what's happening, and maybe it's in a field of stillness, but it's not but the thing itself is not. And so trying to marry those concepts together is what I'm trying to figure out is
Yeah.
like which is the premise of kind of this forum of effortless IFS.
Let's just pause for a moment with that. Can you feel, since the earnestness in his system, the marrying them together, the stillness with the parts, the sensations, just and so like what's happening in Eli, looking for this merging, this alchemy. How does this all come together, and how does this play in your systems? Anything else, Eli?
Thanks for exploring and thanks for Raymond and Daria for sharing.
Awesome, awesome. So how are we all doing? How are you? And I'm curious before we move on, like what's bubbling? And we also haven't heard from my friend and colleague Goalie, who often helps contextualize the big picture. If there's anything that Goalie has as we've just with all of this, yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. I can only share my own experience. So when we started, it's been a long time. I haven't done this kind of meditation to go to images and experience things through images. And there was this part that was saying, no, this is not for me. But then because we are playing game, and I usually love to wholly participate in the games, I said, no, I'm going to try it. And then we went through, and I really enjoyed the nature, the freshness of the nature. I really, um, uh, I've been there. I mean, I could feel it. And like Daria, when you said, okay, let's go to museum, it was a drastic change. I didn't want to go from that freshness in indoor, dark place, but then I could experience that too. So yeah, my experience. I mean, the first part that was there was saying that no, this is I want to with meditation. I want to go straight to the stillness within. But then I mean, when I said no, this is a game, and I played it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, uh, and then it reminded me of the life itself, which is a game. A lot of parts we think we don't like, but when we look at it as a game and wholly experience it, for me, myself, I enjoy every minute of it. It doesn't matter what it is, what is experience.
Mm,
So I really enjoyed it. It was very good. Thank you.
okay, I do have a follow-up question, and so it's kind of maybe it's a little pointed, but let me just for Goalie, but let me just ask everybody. So we're using beauty as a portal to self, as a portal to maybe this stillness, this silence, this love, this nowness, as there are a number of portals, and which ones work for each of us for coming to self when we're in beauty and awe and wonder. And and then for some of us, what seems to happen is it doesn't seem to come and go anymore. That what this portal opens the door for, and I've Goalies, and I'm curious, Goalie, as we're playing this game of going to beauty as this portal, if it really does, if it does open any more for you, or if there's just kind of no, that's just the system has already realized that tipping point of self and beauty are always here. How's that play?
Well, the beauty that experience within, it's so intense that nothing imaginary can compare. Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, this is another experience. When I through images, I go to nature or anywhere. It's another experience, and experience for me cannot be as beautiful as the bliss within. That is more, I prefer to go straight to that state. But then, but then I enjoyed the play of it. I enjoyed that we all together experienced it. That was what I really enjoyed. That we all experienced one thing, one image that you were describing, and that was the beauty of it for me.
This is what I love when all of us come in with our own gifts to each other. And I just wanted to pull out a little more of that from Goalie because I find it encouraging, just the possibility that this bliss, this beauty of our very nature could be even more compelling than experience, as Goalie describes it. And just I share this because as it touches, we've all touched this. We've all touched this, but it's not what our culture teaches us. Hmm. Anything else, Goalie?
No, thank you. No, I really enjoyed the experience.
Gosh. Okay. Wow. So how was that? Anything bubbling around what Goalie just shared before? We haven't heard much. We haven't from Marta and John. We get to go hear how this is all playing for them. But before we do, anything bubbling with what Goalie just shared? And also notice that there's a spiritual achiever that comes up. It's like, oh, Goalie, there it is. That's what I want. It was like, I want that bliss of being just a spiritual achiever because the nature's the same in all of us. There's no difference between what's here and what's in Raymond and what's in Goalie and what's in Eli. It's all the same. And as we celebrate what's here in each of us, it allows the reveal more and more the revealing of this beauty that we are. Nothing, no comments, nothing's coming.
I think.
Hmm, hmm, Gosh. Um, let's go to Mark to John. Who would like to go next?
I can go if that's fine for you. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. It's absolutely wonderful to listen to you all. I very much enjoyed the game. And actually, it took me 1 second to get to a very specific point at the beach in the south of Spain. It was absolutely fantastic. And I also moved very easily to a museum in Oslo. There is a piece of art I love. So every time I go there, so it was quite surprising. There was no, I didn't ask myself any questions. It's not that I had to stay at the ocean. No, I just went to the museums and I had a very similar experience. It was like being in nature actually. And what I felt was this presence and wholeness. And I realized that presence gives me safety. And I felt it in both places. So to me, my home is presence, actually. A home to all of my parts.
Let me just check in with everybody with that, Marta, because that's a lot. This is since Marta's was experiencing presence in the game. She was experiencing presence, even in the museum, presence, and that she finds in presence safety. See if you can touch that. In presence is safety. It's an okayness. For Marta, presence is home. Presence is home. See if we can follow that. And I'm just going to pause for just a minute because it's almost at the hour and we have a few people who transition in the hour back into life. And is there any kind of final words from anybody who's leaving us that would like to be shared before? I just don't want to, I'll get lost in time with Marta. Anything?
So I'll just nip away, Sid. I just want to say to people that I love you.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, Raymond. God, I gotta ask this. How are you doing in receiving that when Raymond says I love you? To John, Marta, Daria, Wolf, Goalie, Sid, and Eli. What's it like? Get that message. Can your parts feel it? Or is your system allowing yourself to receive that? Or protectors kind of like, yeah, whatever. But it's like, how deeply can that message from Raymond be received, that gift? All right.
Very joyous. Very joyous.
Joyous.
Sweet.
Yeah. Just again, the group of us as we're and Eli, thank you for taking us on just a beautiful place today, and just thank you so much for leading us there.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Oh, so here we are back to Marta. The presence is home. See if we can feel that and join her there as she continues. Presence is home. What's that like in us right now? Presence. Maybe it's the wind in our face, or maybe it's seeing beauty, or maybe it's a sense of an aliveness. What's this presence for each of us? And can we taste a sense of safety there and a sense of home? Tell us more, Marta.
There is one little thing I'd like to add. It's actually when Eli mentioned the spiritual bypasser, I had a voice inside me and was maybe it's not a self, actually, you experienced. Maybe it was a spiritual bypasser who's trying to occupy a lot of space and tells you it's a self. And it was quite interesting, I have to say, because I started having doubts. Maybe I should talk to my spiritual bypasser and to the sparring partner of the spiritual bypasser to explore who those guys are, because I felt it quite interesting.
Gosh. Well, let me ask everybody this question. Can we relate to this? Do we have a part sometimes that wants to just get us away from this? Like, God, why are we doing this? I don't want to feel the pain, the shame, the frustration, the lack. I'd much rather go to what I forgot what Raymond's words was, and it's a big party. It's a party. It's fun. It's love. Or I just want to go eat pizza or watch a movie. It's like, can we? And when we have that part arise, can we kind of adore that part that just wants us to have relief? Like, no, that part's taking us away from what we should be doing, says the spiritual achiever. But this one that wants relief, can we find a place of compassion for it and appreciation and even adoring that expression in us? Back to you, Marta. Anything else that would like to be shared?
Sorry, are you asking me? No, in
Yeah,
general.
no, you. Anything else from you that we don't? What do we want to
Which
enjoy,
part of
Marta?
which is the part of you of me you are asking? I'm
Oh,
joking. Anyhow, I'm super grateful to be here. I don't want to occupy more space. Please, I let space to the next person.
Okay. Yes. And just if you can notice us being with you at the same time, Marta, our enjoyment of you, like the sense of like it's like she's the star on stage. We want to find all of her parts. We want to celebrate everything that's going on inside of her. Like, what else is there? See if you join me in that. This is very real in my system. And just notice what it's like for you as we're connecting with Marta. We're not going to put her on the spot with this, but just notice if there's just a sense of curiosity and awe and enjoyment, or what other parts come up. It's like, oh gosh, we have 27 minutes left. I'm ready to go eat a sandwich. It's like, it's just to notice what parts are there as we celebrate everything that's arising in each of us. And I do want to suggest that just as like we see the beauty in the painting, the beauty in the redwoods, that the self towards Marta just sees love, awe, curiosity, connection, and it would be like our favorite movie. We could just sit and listen forever as she describes her parts. Like, what's that like for you? And do you have parts that are feeling embarrassed now or awkward? Marta, how are you doing before we go to John? Anything else you'd like to share?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
No, gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing and leading us. Before we go to John, anything bubbling that would like to be shared from Daria, Goli, or Wolf before we jump to John? All right, John. And as always, there's no pressure. And I also enjoy my friend John immensely. We got to spend a lot of time in Colorado and some workshops together. And what's going on for you today, John?
Um, there's a part that feels fear, I think, as the attention starts to come to me. I can feel it in my body. Um, and there's a really nice like background feeling being here with y'all. And then there's like really loud couple spots in my body that feel contracted and fearful. I'm a little in that dance right now. Oh.
What's loudest in that as you notice that dance? There's this background, there's this fear of, gosh, now I'm being put on the spot. And there's this contraction, that's the sensations in the body. Is there, it's like, I'm wondering if there's one thing that's loudest, and then what's it like to be aware of all of it? What's it like to be aware of all of this? Wow, this theater, John.
Um, yeah, the loudest thing is it's I guess it's the fear. I feel it as sensations like in my chest and ankles, but I guess it's the fear. It's like the fear and then being aware of y'all and it like spikes the fear a little bit. Um, I felt some joy when you asked what's it like to be aware of all of it, because there is like a um I don't know, that shifts me a little bit in some way to have awareness on uh the entire experience.
Can
Yeah, and
we?
then I just feel myself. It's like, I don't want to be with the fear with y'all. It's like I don't want to be fearful and in connection. Yeah.
What's that like for us? Can we relate to this both? I mean, you could feel the joy in John. You could feel that spaciousness, the joy of connection. You could feel that. And so there's that. And then we all know fear. It might be I'm going to do something, whatever the fear, however the fear shows up in each of us. There's some contraction right now. What's it like for both to be here? John, we're not focusing on you. I'm going general to everybody here. So this is not about John's fear. This is about Goalie. Goalie is about your fear. It's about Goalie's fear and Sid's fear. What's it like to have fear and contraction here? And also kind of spaciousness and presence, or, Marta's name, Marta's word for home, presence. It's like when both of these are here. And what's the relationship? We can use Marta's word, presence, and then there's contraction or fear. What's it like when both of them are here? And we have a little bit more time here, so I might dive into something that I kind of included in the description, the email description. And but before I do that, John, I want to, because I was going to, it's you kind of inspired this to go deeper into this with the group, but I just want to check back with you, and if there's more that would like to be shared. I don't want to create any discomfort.
No, I'm good. I'm happy to go on your journey where you take us.
Okay, all right. So it's kind of like, here's the idea, and this is scary. This is scary, and so the idea, this is effortless IFS, so we don't push. There's no pushing here. It's just noticing what our system opens up to naturally. So let's just notice the presence, the beingness that's here, or John, the joy, whatever this is, and Wolf, the connectedness, the bliss in Goli, this presence. You can feel, see, you can feel it, right? You can feel it amongst us. It's like this field, this shared presence, this shared beingness that's here. And then we notice a part, a burdened part, a contraction. Whatever that discomfort is, whatever the sensation, whatever the want is, whatever the should is, whatever the I'd prefer it to be different. What's that in you? See if we each can find one contraction. Sid, my morning should have been more productive and different. I screwed up. Then notice whatever that part is. John mentioned fear. We all can find, flavor of fear, contraction, lack. See if we all can find a part. And as you find that part, where does it show up in you? Is it in my head? Is it in front of me? Is it in my belly? And off to the side, where is that arising? And then notice if there can just be like a sinking into it, letting ourselves be with it, whatever that contraction is. And you'll know when you've gone far enough because the part will say no. It'll just say stop. It'll just say that. And that's when you stop. But see if we can just sink in to the contraction. There can be an intimacy with the contraction, the fear, the no, the resistance. What happens when we let that happen? Or in Raymond's words, where there's like a pure seeing of the contraction itself. We look closely at the contraction, or if we let ourselves sink deeply into it, what's found? Can we find in the contraction itself, in the lack, the resistance, the fear, that there is some space, that there's some light, some radiance in the part itself? This is this idea that eventually self reveals itself. See if you can taste it or feel it. Sense of openness, space, or that love word, or radiance within the part itself, within the contraction. Just pause here for a moment. And then notice parts that want to get the hell out of here. This is uncomfortable. I don't like this. I don't like this intimacy with the discomfort. You just notice it all. And then we come back together and we just kind of shake it all off. It's like, whoa, Sid, I did not like that. That was not fun. That was not the joy that John was sharing with us. That was uncomfortable. What did you find? What's that like for you? What was that like playing with intimacy with the contraction itself? Anything? What would you like to share? Anybody? Does it seem like a window? Does it seem real, the possibility of touching it within the contraction itself? Or it was just like, no way. Protectors were like, we are not going there. Are you crazy?
For me, it's like for some of the contractions, it starts to feel pleasurable or good. Like if I can really embrace and like let myself go into it, there's almost like yeah, it's like I start to really meet it and it's like a pleasure to be there. And then I've got the ones in my ankles are a little more intense and it's almost like I struggle to it's like I don't know if I have to be more tuned or it's like I struggle to really allow myself to get there. It's like a little more dynamic and prickly with the approach. Yeah.
Is that crazy? I mean, I think always got something. Let me just say something to you. Is that crazy what John said? It's actually, there was pleasurable or it felt good. going into this, being with the contraction itself, pleasurable? If you can find that, how does that translate? Or is John he's just laying back in bliss land? This isn't real what John's saying. What's that like? Thank you, John. Goalie, you got something for us.
Yeah, when John mentioned that, I actually, this is something I want to share with you. Recently, since I have started to listen to my parts, I mean, it's been a long time, but recently, actually, it's like I know their language better. It can be um, like I don't know, a little pain in my like ankle, John mentioned, or something. It's like I can understand their languages, so I can go and get closer to them. And actually, I really love them. I mean, we talk about try to like love our parts or listening to it, but I actually love them. It's like they're talking to me, and the talk is not aggressive. It's not like they attack me with something, not anymore. It's they just show themselves as a passing of energy, and I can love them and I can feel them actually in my heart, all of them in my heart. It doesn't matter if it's fear, especially fear. It's felt exactly the place that love is felt. It's in the heart. Or even anger. It looks like they're attacking in the mind, but they're all are felt here and they can dissolve there. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. So what's that like as we hear what Goalie's sharing? Can you really open this of your system, this sense of the spaciousness that has the capacity at this point in her system when fear comes up, anger comes up, whatever it is, that there's a sense of her system allows an intimacy with those parts. It's just a love of them, a love of their expression. And if you could, it's like for me, I was just feeling the intimacy as you were describing that, Goalie. And at the same time, we don't need to follow that. This is Goldie's system that she's been doing this a very, very long time. She even speaks to me. I don't know if she's doing it publicly, but to me, she's like a non-duality speaker of all of this, like her system is, right? And it's like her system, but it's gotten to the place where the beingness has gotten so loud. There's such a sense of safety, to use Marta's word. There's such a sense of safety in this beingness that there's accessibility to an intimacy with the parts. And then I just think what becomes interesting is to notice our systems. Like John could actually find pleasure in connecting with some, but there were others his system wasn't able to have that kind of open intimacy with. And we're hearing the enjoyment in Goalie with her parts. And then some of us, I forgot, was it Marta or John? Who was it? Someone was saying about the firefighter. No, Eli was speaking more
Yeah.
as like the firefighters that take us away from the parts. Can we just appreciate how the way the systems heal and the way this happens organically, where that's too much. If we were inviting Eli to join Goalie's system, his system would be like, that's a little too much. We need to find safety. We need to find relief. Sid's system does the same thing. There are times when the firefighters just, I'm not ready to go there, and takes it away. I just want to welcome that in all of our systems. There's no judgment here. There's no sense of our systems need to be like Goalie's, but then we can feel hers and it can inspire us to possibilities, and ours get to open so differently, just like Daria with it. I didn't follow this. I missed it when I was talking about beauty and how it was completely different for her. It was the breeze, right? I missed that entirely, and just the celebration of how it plays differently for us. Anything else, Goalie?
No, thank you. That's it.
Gosh, I love that so much. How's that playing for everybody as we hear Goalie share? Anything bubbling?
Yeah, for me, it was kind of embracing the contraction, discomfort, and there was like some tears, but like love, like opening love and holding and kind of gentleness and tenderness. And when Goli was speaking, something else came up for me is that I I have been learning to defend my parts almost or speak up for my parts more to other people out there. So it's almost like myself is opening up and wanting and allowing my parts to be more expressive on the outside as well, and how welcome that is. And I also noticed that here, being with my discomfort, being with unlike being in the state is again, I keep repeating this, Sid, like it comes up for me over and over. It's much easier in this group for my parts, and it's the pressure of the outside world and of people in the world who are not aware of all these intricacies. That where my parts just take over, protectors and firefighters, and like hide me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's beautiful to see how, yeah, how it is this opening to speaking up or sharing or letting discomfort be as it is. It's okay.
So how about the brilliance of your parts in the world, that the protectors and the firefighters that hide you? How about the brilliance of that? That for safety, for March's word, safety. Like here, wow, here there is safety in the group. There is, it's something that the parts know, the protectors know that they can feel it, right? Because they're allowing more intimacy with the parts here. And so there's such a wisdom to these brilliant parts that allow this intimacy here, but it's like, we're not ready to do that in the world. They don't understand. It's not necessarily going to be kind and safe there. So we're going to protect, and we're also going to hide some of our vulnerabilities. We're not going to be stupid. We're going to do that. And it just keeps opening, right? And that's what's right now. But I'm not saying this as a final thing, because we hear from Raymond and hear from Goalie system. In their systems, it's open more. The sense of safety is become more pervasive. They have this sense of self, this love, this in the world too, that's open more. And then it becomes, and then the protectors are like, whoa, this is safe. I can let a little more of this out, a little more vulnerability out. And I just want to celebrate the brilliance, Daria, of your protectors. I love what you just shared with us. How's that?
Yeah, it makes sense. And what's like really um very clear to me is how myself is helping and leading me out in the world is through and now I missed the word. It's not agency, it's like just advocacy, like advocacy, and like it's a bit of a fighting energy, but not in a bad way, but fighting energy. Here I am, this is who I
Yes.
am, take it or leave it.
So how about that? Do we have parts that want Daria on our side, that we want to, when we go out in the world, we want Daria standing next to us and her parts going, hey, here's Sid, and these are his creative parts, these are his expressive parts, and back off, give him space, needs to be safe here. We got to give space for his parts. Can you find the celebration of that, of what she's doing for her parts, the way she's looking after them? And how about the way we do it? The way you're like, you can't, I'm not okay with you speaking that way to me, right? There's the sense of the parts that protect our systems and how wonderful they are. And then it all continues to open as more and more safety opens inside of us. We use less and less of that, but then we use as much of it that's needed at the time. And so I would love, Dara, I'd love it if you, when I was giving workshops and stuff in the world, if you were sitting there, it's like, we got to quiet, Sid's part speaking. It's wonderful. Anything else, Daria?
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I'm
Gosh,
Leslie.
thank you. Wow. Well, we got 6 minutes left. What's bubbling? How are we doing? Where was I off anywhere? Was it what I just said? How are we doing? What's coming up for your systems? Are your parts feeling celebrated? Are you feeling celebrated? Are you feeling welcomed? Or is there a spirit? Just notice if there's any kind of spiritual achiever part. That's because that's what I wanted to be careful about when we hear the beauty of what Goli is describing and the beauty of what Daria is describing. If you have parts that are like, oh, my system should be more like Daria, should be more like Goli's, and just to notice if that's happening. Anything else, Marta, John, that would like to share? Marta, yay!
Yeah, I would just like to show one thing. I met a contracted part of myself, and I have a picture here actually of this contracted part. It's a picture of me, of all 5-year-old.
Oh,
And
can you show us?
yes, voila.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was interesting because when I gave her presents, I felt this spaciousness, and I realized that sometimes I try to, I used to search for other people and trying to ask them to save my parts, while it was all about being here. And I feel I don't need to show, I feel more safer now while I speak to my parts and I feel that I'm present to my parts. And then I feel safer, and they're not searching for approval anymore outside. And it feels home, actually. Work in progress. I'm not saying I'm enlightened Buddha, not at all. But
wow.
actually, yeah, it feels much better somehow. It feels safer.
Wow. Feels safer. See if we can
Yeah.
relate to that, the sense of the organicness that Marta's just describing, that just gradually the system feels more safe, more home out in the world. And my thought is that the way that often happens is like what Daria is describing, the sense of parts taking care of the system. I just love that. Thank you, Marta. How beautiful. Wolf, you have anything? We got like 3 minutes left. Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I really enjoyed the dipping in to intensity and presence and somehow moving out a little bit again. And also, I'm still, even though I've listened to you a few times, I'm still new to this EIFS business. What's those different channels of experiencing? And yeah, thank you. And I've enjoyed the immediacy that some of you have reported tremendously. And just, kind of falling into your face and noticing the feelings and then coming back again into this body. And it's been really wonderful. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. That's it. There it is. You can feel that? You feel that with Wolf, right? As he was describing that immediacy, that intensity. And IFS stuff, that's all sidelined. None of it's necessary. We just use it sometimes as labels, but we're more interested in each of our languages, how we make sense of what's happening inside of us. Thank you so much, Wolf. Any final words, John? And then we'll come bring it all together. Nothing. Oh my. Anything else bubbling? Any final words from anybody? Thank you for this co-creation day. I just want to emphasize that again, the co-creation. I mean, really, what Marta just shared with us about how it's changing and home becoming more and more here. What Wolf just shared, the intensity of following all of us and how he started it off for us and talking about the connection. How John shared about the contrast between the joy and the contraction and the fear. How Daria celebrated the different way of finding this, the somatic, the aliveness, and finding this beauty, and as Darius celebrated parts that are taking care of her system, helping her find safety in the world. And as Gully took us on this dive, this ever-present okayness that's here, this bliss, this beauty that's ever present. Thank you for this co-creation. This was lovely. I loved it so much. Come back again soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you.
Mhm.